Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your Stories Digital Playbook for SMBs, a series where we explore areas of SMB digitization. Today, we will be talking about quick and easy ways to take SMBs online. A 2019 Zinnov report had estimated the total digital opportunity offered by Indian SMBs will grow from about 30 billion USD in 2019 to a massive 85 billion US dollars in 2024. MasterCard is one of the key players in the industry for taking SMBs online, especially in the context of digital payments. So, to guide us on how quick and easy ways SMBs can get online, and also how MasterCard is playing a big role in doing so, we have with us today Vikas Verma. He is the COO South Asia at MasterCard. Vikas, great to have you.
Thank you, Rishabh.
Vikas is responsible for managing business development for the South Asia division of MasterCard. With vast experience in payments technology, retail, financial services, and consumer product sectors, Vikas leads the emergence of a highly productive sales force to drive strategic engagement with clients, harnessing a wide range of capabilities and assets. He has been keenly involved in driving payment innovation in emerging markets like India. So, Vikas, to begin with, I'm sure over the past few months, you've also had the experience. Everybody cannot stop talking about COVID. So, with cash transactions almost stopped, how has COVID 19 really accelerated digital payments adoption among SMBs?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity, Rishabh. It's great to be speaking with your story again. COVID, SMEs, digital payments, India, emerging markets, these are all hugely resonated topics in today's context. And as you mentioned, everybody talks about COVID. COVID's clearly changed the way all of us, live our lives today, whether the way we shop, the way we work, the way we communicate, uh, the way we don't socialize anymore physically, and we find ways to do that remotely and like we're doing today, through digital media. But clearly, if you look at us as consumers, uh, COVID has been a significant shock to our system. And there is really no playbook for a situation of this type. This is completely unprecedented, and we are looking at from a global perspective. If you look at consumers, very rapidly the first response was to go digital. Uh, Consumers started to stop started to save first, very careful with their money in general. SMBs, even particularly so, because SMBs are very tight on cash flow typically, because SMEs are the business themselves. And clearly, we saw a fair amount of belt tightening where SMEs as consumers were concerned, uh, stocking up on necessities as opposed to more comforts and more luxuries and things that they could buy otherwise. So we saw a lot of movement in areas that could be actually helping consumers stay safe and stay secure. So grocery shopping went up, for example, pharmacies went up, and a lot of that went online all of a sudden. Groceries went online. We found, and you might have seen some large digital giants as well who operate in the e-commerce space or in the social media space, rapidly run to become hyper-local and serve their customers in a hyper-local kind of an environment. So yes, for SMEs, definitely it's been, as consumers, a rush to adopt new ways to pay. And for SMEs as merchants, and just to give you context, India has over 60 million SMEs across the board, whether they are medium size, little large, or even the mom and pop stores, or even self-employed entrepreneurs. There are over 60 million of them, and they contribute about 30% to our gross domestic product, and that's growing. And you've probably heard the government also has a vision to take the SME contribution to GDP up to close to 50%, because they're the backbone of the economy. And SMEs as merchants hitherto were a little hesitant in adopting digital payments, while there has been significant momentum over the last 3 or 4 years in that space. COVID has clearly seen them very rapidly accept online payments, accept to get digitized, and accept to become part of the economic or the electronic payment ecosystem, so that they can stay relevant to the consumers who are now more and more shopping online and through remote ways, whether online through e-commerce or finding ways to tap and pay without having to make any contact at the store. So in short, dramatic acceleration in payments adoption from SMBs. We have large targets globally as well as in India to dramatically digitize SMBs, and I think this unfortunate opportunity is, that's how I'd like to term it, is a sort of a huge a tailwind for the ecosystem to become much more digital.
Yeah, in fact, Vikas, I was just going to come to that. When all the consumers are moving online and SMBs are also having to move online, what is the actual role of MasterCard in enabling merchants to adopt these digital payments and kind of stay ahead of the curve? So just tell us a little bit about where MasterCard is placed in the value chain for digital payments.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question, Rishabh. As you're probably aware, our role and our vision is really a world beyond cash. And we try to democratize payments and democratize commerce, whether that happens between consumers, businesses, governments, and enterprises across the world. And therefore, supporting small businesses is a very strong part of our DNA. And we do that in many ways across the world. If I talk about India specifically, and some large initiatives that we have done, we have been actively engaged with an entity which is called the CAIT, which is the Confederation of All India Traders. It's a very large and very powerful body, and it represents about 60 plus million traders pan-India across the length and width of the geography. And we've been working with this trade body to do 2-3 things. One, primarily to drive awareness of the utility of accepting digital payments amongst the SMB merchant community. And that's through a lot of educational campaigns, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And thereafter, working with our financial institution partners and helping these SMBs get onboarded and actually be able to accept electronic forms of payment, whether that is supporting them to get a website of their own and be able to, build a digital storefront, or be able to physically accept electronic forms of payment through a typical traditional POS terminal. And more recently, we've made some advances in technology where we've been able to actually digitize the POS terminal and make it a virtual terminal which can run off a smartphone as well. So we've been doing a lot of this with partners. Given the size and scale of the task at hand, you'd appreciate that no one entity can win in this together. We all have to ally together and partner with folks in that ecosystem. You might have seen a brand ambassador of ours, Dhoni, and prior to COVID, he was a lot on television as well. And we've used Dhoni and his popularity to be able to reach out to the small merchant community and again educate them on the benefits of digitization. Last year, we launched another campaign called Team Cashless India. And there we had a goal to equip 10 million small merchants with digital payments acceptance capability and creating awareness with them as merchants as well as consumers for the benefit and utility of accepting payments in an electronic form. Yeah. Very recently, about a quarter back, globally, we pledged about $250 million, Rishabh, to the support of the small business community globally. And a small part of that, about 250 crore rupees, we have committed to focus on SMEs in India, and that will really help us to reboot the SME sector and enable their business recovery. Some of it will be to help them uh, sanitize their outlets. Some of it will go towards uh, financial literacy and education, and some of it will go towards helping them adopt digital payments, working with our banks and financial institution partners as well.
Right. So,
Well,
Vikas, a lot to unpack regarding all these initiatives. Let's just go one by one. I'd like to go into more detail about some of these.
sure.
You mentioned some of the point of sale solutions you were working on. And in fact, Praveen from the Traders Association, CAIT, someone who's very vocal in, helping SMBs just stay relevant and, stay ahead of the game, make sure that, they're still producing. So this other partnership, with Axis Bank and Worldline, that,
Yeah,
MasterCard was involved with for building some digital point of sale solutions. So can
that's
we
right. That's
begin
right.
with that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So there are two or three very large, stimuli that are at play here. One is obviously the very large base of unpenetrated small merchants in our ecosystem. There's a very large base of citizens and consumers who are today enabled either via their smartphone or through a physical card, between 800 million to a billion of them who can today transact through a payment instrument. And the third is also a huge amount of availability of the smartphone, increase of the smartphone penetration. We're about, at last count, between 350 to 400 million smartphones in the country. And we also have the lowest costs of data in the world. You'd be surprised. So all of these are a huge heady combination. And we thought, why don't we use all of these to actually come out with an innovation which talks to these entities, which addresses, the area of costs, the area of innovation, safety, and security in a very scalable manner. So we actually worked with Axis Bank and Worldline, and we developed and launched something called SoftPOS. SoftPOS is very simply an app which you can download onto a smartphone. And once you download that app, you can, using your smartphone, start to accept payments, either through digital links for e-commerce payments or through Bharat QR. And we'll be adding other capabilities such as NFC as well. But imagine a merchant using a 5,000, 6,000 rupees smartphone, downloads the app, and within a short period of time can go digital. So there is really no capex involved in that ecosystem. There are no consumables, there's no paper rolls, no nothing, because we are all so digitally savvy today, both as users and as acceptors of payments. And that is really something we believe, which it is truly an innovation, and we are rolling that out as we speak in India, and it's already taken wings for overseas and has gone to many other markets. So that's something we can clearly say that we've made in India, but made for the world as well. So I think we're very proud of that soft POS solution. You'll see much more of that happening because I think it's a very transformative change in that ecosystem. And we believe millions of potential SMEs and entrepreneurs who currently were very challenged in accepting payments for various reasons, infrastructural cost or otherwise, will now be enabled to do that.
Yeah, in fact, we are all excited to see that solution roll out soon. Vikas, coming to the next question, we usually talk to a lot of people about why SMBs should adopt digital solutions. And, the digital point of sale solution that you mentioned is definitely something that will help SMBs kind of ride the tailwinds of this current era. But Vikas, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, how does adopting these digital technologies help make access to credit easier for SMBs? Because as you know, there's a huge cash crunch right now. It was there even before COVID hit. So, how do these technologies help make credit access a little bit easier?
Yeah, I think it's a very relevant question, and I've often been asked that one. Um, so if you think about it, physical cash largely leaves no trail, and that's one of the reasons why, in some parts of the ecosystem, whether it's a gray market or otherwise, it's the accepted sort of currency of exchange. But if you look at the flip side, in the case of this particular question on how something that leaves a digital trail, okay, which is very critical now for helping establish a, let me call it in for want of another word, a digital footprint for an SMB. In physical cash, there was really no footprint. One did not know where the money had been prior and where it would go ahead. In terms of digital payments, the moment one transacts digitally or accepts payments electronically, uh, SMEs can come into the digital fold by being able to actually demonstrate and provide a digital footprint in terms of either transactional data or behavioral data. So the moment you have a POS terminal, let's say it's soft POS at a merchant outlet, all of a sudden one is able to see, a third party typically is able to see the volume and transactions and the kind of spend behavior at that SME merchant. And a potential lender would find this data very enriching to be able to package the data basis the transaction flows at that merchant, because now they're all captured electronically, and be able to model a solution construct or a financial offering for a loan to this SME, which would not have been possible if all transactions were in cash, because they left no footprint. And that's what we are pushing, and I think we are getting a lot of traction with on one side our financial services customers like banks, and also entities like CIT, who then evangelize this to their user base and to their merchant base, that it's a win-win when you actually start to transact online, not just accept payments for their own functionality and the ease and convenience, but also leave the digital footprint for others to be able to offer you, relevant financial services and financial products.
So, Vikas, the first thing that I think of, when you talk about this sort of formalization of SMBs, is I immediately think about the women entrepreneurs. Because some time ago, I was reading some data, that over 80% or even more than 80% of all the entrepreneurs in India are men. And the number of women entrepreneurs is quite low. And, steps are being taken to, build that number up. So how are you actually looking to empower women entrepreneurs and strengthen their business acumen? Because right now, they have a chance to leapfrog the whole cash economy and directly come into the digital era. So I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very large but potentially hugely untapped area, and therefore tremendous headroom for growth. Uh, Women entrepreneurs as a small percentage of the overall entrepreneurial base of India is very small today. However, we see it growing. We see it growing in the hinterland, in Bharat as we call it, in tier 3, tier 4, where women come together in the form of, for example, self-help groups to either value add to agricultural produce, or to look at animal husbandry, or to look at handicrafts and things, but they come in together as groups. And we also see this kind of behavior show up in more urbanized areas where women open beauty parlors. Some women become accountants, other women support, other service industries. And so there is a huge headroom, because we also see that when we employ or empower women, we actually empower the family. Because typically a woman would support 4 or 5 other people in the household. And that's been a very big sort of focus area for us. And it actually leads to an intersection between what we do as a business and what we do well by doing good as well. So our CEO has this huge mantra that he keeps talking about, which is that while he wants us to do well as well, he also wants us to do well by doing good, which is by finding commercial solutions to social problems and challenges in markets like India, where there is a challenge of financial inclusion, inclusion of women and building women entrepreneurship, training them, engaging those communities, broadening that ecosystem. So we actually combine that with our business and enterprise focus that we have, which I just spoke about, the generic merchants. But overlay on top of that, a lot of work which we do with global partners. MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth is our arm which does a lot of this work. We work with global partners like Axion. We support microfinance institutions, small finance banks, helping them digitize, helping them train women, and then tailor their products that are more suited to women as entrepreneurs. Hugely also, another area is around the education and awareness to increase the basic business acumen for women, and especially in rural areas. So there again, we've partnered with many like-minded social organizations and business organizations, whether we provide them through marketing seminars, legal clinics, business centers, some mentoring advice, and some very basic financial literacy and financial training on how to manage their money. We did that recently in Rajasthan for about 10,000 entrepreneurs. We work with the Industry Foundation, and where we are targeting about 100,000 women artisans to help them build a digital presence and get them empowered through other skills. We also work with the well-known Mandeshi Foundation, which again brings a lot of women entrepreneurs together and helps them expand their networks and contact base and helps them to expand their business. So various ways in which both globally as well as locally, we are focused on enabling SMEs, and within SMEs, women being a very, very clear sub-segment and a very priority segment within that.
Vikas, you mentioned the concept of building business acumen, and right now, considering the wave of digital and especially e-commerce, I think one of the biggest aspects of building business acumen is educating about how to sell online or how to build web stores, right? So, in fact, you mentioned you are collaborating with certain local partners as well. So, can you tell me a little bit about these collaborations and how you are helping SMBs to create and maintain their web stores?
Yeah. So, in a variety of ways, Rishabh, we are actually helping our SMBs go online and create demand online and service that demand online. And like I said earlier, it's very important to do that with like-minded partners and local partners. Closer home, we have some capabilities which we have deployed. For example, we have our own payment gateway. It's called the MasterCard Payment Gateway. It is brand agnostic and connects a merchant to the financial ecosystem so that whenever you shop online, there is potentially a MasterCard payment gateway in between the merchant e-commerce website or the app and the financial institution, and MasterCard is actually enabling that financial transaction to happen. We've also worked with partners. If I can name some, Fine Labs is one, where we also have an equity investment. We have a global partnership with a company called Zoho. And with both of these, we've actually brought to market some SME relevant business solutions, whether it's CRM solutions, whether it's invoicing packages, whether it's accounting packages, whether it's for marketing and campaign management. And SMEs have the same needs as large businesses, just that they can't pay for the large platforms. They don't have that kind of infrastructure or money. So a lot of these capabilities that we are working with Zoho and Fine Labs, for example, and Global Linker, who is another partner of ours, a lot of these are typically mobile first, which SMEs can then consume or set themselves up on a browser or on their mobile phone itself. So a lot of business support services. Zoho has got over 40 business support applications that potentially an SME can use. and make life more comfortable and make life more and business more effective and efficient for themselves. Very
Yeah.
recently, we also partnered with another entity, which I'd like to call out, which is an entity called Solve. And Solve is actually a marketplace for MSMEs, where they can connect, come together, and actually buy goods for inputs as well as sell finished products. And we will be going after certain specific segments and areas of MSMEs along with Solve and helping them transact digitally.
Right.
So there's
Because a
lots
while,
happening in this space as well.
yeah, yeah. Because a while ago, you mentioned a 250 crore commitment to helping revive Indian SMBs, and the opportunity that the digital opportunity, in fact, that SMBs are producing is massive. So tell us a little bit, about the 250 crore commitment, and what are your future plans? Maybe in the next couple of years, what do you plan to do? What are your focus areas?
Yeah, sure. I mentioned earlier that our CEO and our company globally has committed $250 million, and this is across the world. We operate in over 200 countries worldwide. India is a very, very key market for us. So our 250 crores was set aside here for India for the next 2 or 3 years to entirely reboot the SME ecosystem. It will start immediately, like I mentioned, with helping a lot of SMEs who've been impacted with COVID to reopen their stores, to get them sanitized, educate them on the value of social distancing and how they have to keep safe while they continue to do business and open their businesses. The second piece is on helping them go digital. So one part of that would be financial education and the utility of why it's important to have a digital footprint and a digital signature, and working with our partner banks to actually get these merchants to become digital and merchant and accepting. Whether that might mean getting them a website through a bank or an e-com kind of a platform where they can sell to service demand from, or a digital point of sale solution or a physical point of sale solution. There can be many such avatars for acceptance. We're also looking at ways in which we can enable credit access to these SMBs. We don't directly lend, but using the digital footprint that we would have created by getting these merchants to go, by these SMEs to go local, but to go digital, we will have a rich pool of data that potentially can be used by lenders and banks to be able to lend to these SMBs, for which they now have a very clear, wireframe or a digital signature, and they know much more about the SMEs' usage patterns and the financial behavior patterns, and be able to lend to them. So this will be really how the commitment that we've made in this market will actually be utilized. Broadly, these three areas.
Right, because putting myself in the shoes of an SMB, right now there are a lot of companies that are coming up with digital payment solutions, and a lot of services are on display, just waiting to choose from. And many SMBs also sometimes they feel scared because they don't really know where their money is going. They can't cite their money, and there are a lot of fraudsters and scammers. They do exist. So SMBs do have a valid reason to be a little apprehensive. Mastercard is obviously a very trusted name. So, what would be your, one or two golden rules that SMBs should keep in mind before they adopt such a digital payment solution?
Yeah, yeah. You're right. On one hand, you have innovation, like I mentioned, the soft POS and others. But on the other hand, you also have to continue to build consumer confidence. Both of them go hand in hand. You can't have a situation where you keep innovating, bringing the latest in technology or new solutions in place, but your user segment is still very cagey or unconvinced or feels insecure about using that. So therefore, I think, like I mentioned earlier, the first piece in sort of, if I had to say, my first golden rule would really be to get that merchant or the target merchant to feel at ease about going digital and to understand that the long-term benefits of going digital far outweigh any risks that there might actually be there in the system. Some of them are real, some are perceived. So that's the first piece, and that's talking about how they can benefit from going digital. The second piece within that is a lot of focus around safety and security. We've always positioned MasterCard as the safest way to pay to a lot of our user base. And with these merchants too, we spend a lot of our time educating them on basic principles on how to keep their, either mobile phone safe, or their access device could be a card, could be any other, form factor, safe. Don't, the basic stuff that probably your bank also talks to you about. Not sharing your password, keeping your access device safe, operating in a encrypted environment, in a safe environment, therefore having your own, IP and your own secure passwords. These are very basic things that SMEs need to learn. It's not difficult, but I think a lot of effort, given the size and scale of the task at hand, a lot of effort has to go in educating, in getting these basics across to this ecosystem. So that's the first piece, getting that sort of acceptance and comfort. Yes, that digital is good for me. I think the second piece, which I definitely keep in mind, is a lot of these entities are new to digital. They have never accepted digital payments before. They never transacted as consumers, more often than not, digitally ever before. So making the user experience seamless, safe and secure, but also seen to be safe and secure, is also going to be a very, very, a critical critical to quality success factor for the offtake of digital payments by SMEs. If it's very clunky, if it takes a lot of training, if it breaks down very frequently, if it costs a lot, all of these are huge areas where you'll find that people are going to be, pushing back. And therefore, keeping it simple, keeping it modular, keeping it at a very minimal cost from an economic standpoint, so that adoption is easy, are areas that we would consider whenever we actually go out and drive SME adoption for merchant payments.
In fact, Vikas, the points you mentioned, that the solution should not be clunky, it should not break down, and it should also be cost effective. So obviously Mastercard has been around for a very long time, and there is trust, and you do have the resources to ensure that the whole process is very smooth for an SMB or a merchant.
Yes.
But what about somebody new? What about somebody who's just entering the game and they want to build a digital product or a solution for payments? So you are obviously someone with a lot of experience in payments innovation. So how would a new player go about ensuring that simplicity and that ease of use? So what are the golden rules for a product builder?
Yeah, I think good question. And we've dealt with this one in the past in different forums, Rishabh. But here's my take on it. You don't get up in the morning to make a payment. You get up in the morning to go to work, to buy a coffee on the way, to pay for your metro ticket, buy your lunch, shop online when you're off work, and come back home. Payments, therefore, needs to be subsumed in the consumer's life, which basically means, again, it has to be smooth, almost invisible, deeply embedded in the transaction and the flow itself, so that it's by itself, it doesn't stand out to be a separate transaction or a separate activity that consumers or users need to do. And you're seeing a lot of that in India, where you see digital wallets, super apps, where you can do a ton of things on your wallet by pressing the right buttons and the tabs on that on your phone. What's happened is that the user experience has become so deeply ingrained, and in the payment experience has become deeply ingrained in the user experience flow or the purchase transaction flow, that consumers are need not necessarily look out again and find out how do I pay for this product, or is the payment process a separate convoluted route by itself. So making payments seamless, ubiquitous, almost invisible would be, I think, the first mantra for anybody who's wanting to step into the, creating a digital payments ecosystem or a solution. I think the second piece would be not be wedded to any form factor, and which is where we as Mastercard have sort of started to transform towards. We started off as a card company. We are now a technology company operating in the digital payment space. And we are not necessarily bound to only a 16-digit card. We can, you can do a payment through a biometric payout. You can do a virtual card payment. You can pay through a mobile phone. There are various form factors, and we are completely agnostic to those form factors. So that would be the second piece somebody who's envisaging an entry into digital payment should clearly look at. And the third piece is around standardization and avoidance of fragmentation, and that is really around interoperability. Your system or your solution needs to be able to seamlessly interoperate with the other participants in the ecosystem. And therefore, for example, a MasterCard card can be used at over 50 million merchants worldwide, in over 200 countries worldwide. All you need to look at is for a logo at the merchant that says MasterCard welcome or MasterCard accepted here. That is what is powering the ubiquity of the solution, where this solution interoperates across multiple geographies. We have 2 billion cards in circulation, so those cards can be used anywhere on those 50 million merchants. All the merchant needs to look for is the MasterCard logo. Now imagine if there were multiple such brands and multiple such payment devices or payment options that were in existence. Each of them would build their own little silo, and you would be able to pay with device 1 or form factor 1 in a merchant A, and you might have to use form factor 2 or device 2 at merchant B, and similarly on and so forth. That is not building any value longer term. And therefore, interoperability and getting away from closed loop silos and closed loop ecosystems and being able to be part of a much larger whole that is completely seamless in terms of time and space is going to be probably the third mantra, I'd say, for anybody entering or trying to create a superior digital solution.
Thanks, Vikas. This brings us to the end of a very insightful discussion. It's great to know, how MasterCard is helping take SMBs online in a quick and easy way. A big thank you once again for joining us. We hope everyone watching found the discussion insightful and had some useful takeaways. This one-on-one was part of Your Stories Digital Playbook for SMBs, a series where we come together with key stakeholders in the SMB ecosystem to discuss the crucial areas of digitization. Thank you for watching.